Once upon a time, in a quiet, charming town, lived a girl named Lila. She was stunning, with a soft, radiant complexion and cheeks that were always pink, not from chores but from her constant napping and lounging near the window. Lila was the beloved only child of a wealthy couple, and they pampered her with affection, gifts, and a life of comfort. Yet above all else, Lila was infamous for her extreme laziness. Her parents grew concerned that Lila lacked any sense of independence, so they entrusted her with a significant amount of money, hoping it would teach her how to handle responsibilities. But Lila had no intention of learning anything. Instead of being thoughtful with the money, she spent it hiring others to do even the tiniest tasks. One person cooked, another cleaned, and someone else even combed her hair. Soon, her days blurred into naps, snacks, and gazing at herself in the mirror. Time flew, and so did the money. One afternoon, she stared at her dwindling coins and realized she was penniless. She couldn't afford her helpers anymore, so one by one, they quit. Left alone with no ability or will to work, Lila was stranded. Her cupboards were empty, and her once elegant home began to decay. Her clothes piled up, the floor became filthy, and wrappers were scattered everywhere, yet she refused to lift a finger. Then one morning, the voice of the town herald echoed down the street. Attention! By royal command, Her Majesty invites all young women of pure heart to a grand feast at the palace. Prince Zain seeks a devoted bride. Leela's eyes sparkled. She had heard of the Queen's lavish parties with endless food and luxuries. This is my golden chance, she shrieked, spinning in her dirty room. But her excitement faded when she saw her worn-out dress and torn shoes. She hadn't bought anything new in ages. How will I win his heart looking like this? She murmured. With a sigh, Lila decided to look for temporary work. Just a few days to earn enough for a glamorous outfit, then I'm done, she told herself. The next morning, she got a job at a small bakery. The owner, Mr. Clark, asked her to bake 10 loaves of bread and display them for sale. Lila began kneading but was quickly exhausted and covered in flour. My arms ache already. How will I finish this? She groaned. Once Mr. Clark stepped out, she folded paper bags into loaf shapes, hid them in a basket, and placed 3 real loaves on top. When Mr. Clark returned, he saw the full basket and praised her work. He handed her a pouch of coins. Lila grabbed the money and left, never returning. Still short on funds, she searched for another job. She met a roadside fruit seller who welcomed her help. Please sort out the rotten fruits so the good ones don't spoil, he asked. Of course, Leela replied sweetly. Once the old man left, she sighed, I'm too tired for this. Instead of sorting, she arranged the fresh fruits on top to make it look perfect. When the man returned, he smiled, believing she had done well and paid her. Again, she fled and never came back. Lila continued her lazy tricks. She tricked an elderly woman who needed help with laundry, wetting the clothes and flipping them inside out to make them appear washed. She collected her reward and disappeared. By the end of the week, Lila had gathered enough to buy a glittering gown and sparkling shoes. On the day of the royal banquet, she dressed carefully, admiring herself in the mirror, confident that Prince Zain would be enchanted by her beauty. She dreamed of becoming royalty, never having to lift a hand again. The palace hall was magnificent, full of music, laughter, and guests in dazzling attire. Lila walked in gracefully, head high, drawing eyes to her elegant look. She joined the other girls, waiting for the prince. When Prince Zain arrived with his mother, he made his way through the crowd, greeting everyone warmly. Just as he approached Lila, a voice cut through the room. That's the girl who faked baking at my shop, Mr. Clark called out. She tricked me too, yelled the fruit vendor from across the hall. One by one, others stepped forward, each sharing how Lila had deceived them and run off with their money. Gasps filled the hall. Lila's face turned crimson as whispers surrounded her. The queen stood and spoke, her voice firm and regal. To become part of this family, one must have more than beauty. You must be kind, honest, and hardworking. Lila, your actions speak otherwise. This life is not for you. With that, the guards escorted her out. Tears streamed down her face as her dreams crumbled. As she walked home in her tattered dress and dusty shoes, guilt overwhelmed her. She had hurt people who trusted her. The next day, she returned to Mr. Clark's bakery and offered to work without pay to make amends. She kneaded dough, cleaned the counters, and worked tirelessly. Mr. Clark, moved by her change, gave her a basket of bread. Lila then visited the fruit vendor and the others she had wronged, apologizing and offering help. She cleaned her home, washed her clothes, bought cookbooks, and found more jobs. Slowly, Lila began saving and learning the dignity of effort. In time, she became known not just for her beauty, but for her diligence and kind spirit. Though she never became a princess, she built a life she could be proud of, one shaped by growth and hard earned wisdom. Whenever tempted to take shortcuts, she remembered the lesson from that unforgettable night at the palace.